Hi guys, and welcome to another bookshelf tour. I really hope you enjoy this one. Thanks for watching.
First is White Star, A Dog on the Titanic by Marty Crisp. And this is a children's book that takes place on the Titanic. And it's about this boy, Sam, who gets on the Titanic and he comes across this dog named Star. And they become really good pals. Mr. Darcy Vampire by Amanda Grange. This book takes place post Pride and Prejudice. And it's about Elizabeth and Darcy and basically their honeymoon period. And the big twist of this book, if you cannot tell from the title, is that Mr. Darcy is in fact a vampire. The Sleepwalkers by Paul Grossman. I received this book through a Goodreads giveaway. It's a pre-World War II setting type of book, and it's about this detective, I believe, and something about the police force pulling out this deformed body of a woman from the river, and something about her legs looks like a mermaid. And there's just a lot of really interesting twists and turns to this book, and it's described as a mystery thriller. Here are some of my Agatha Christie books. I have Evil Under the Sun, Death on the Nile, and Murder on the Orient Express. And all of these are a Hercule Poirot mystery. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. Does anyone know how to pronounce those? I really wanted to get Death on the Nile and Murder on the Orient Express because I've heard so much about those, and those two books are kind of things that are referenced a lot in pulp culture, so I figured I should read those. That way I can be in the know on pop culture references. And last in my Agatha Christie collection is The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, and this is probably my favorite so far from the Agatha Christie books. This one literally had me going, oh my god, at the very end. Just such a unique twist and something I was not even expecting. Pride and Prejudice and Zombies by Seth Graham Smith. And this is basically the entirety of Pride and Prejudice, but retold with zombies thrown in. Ophelia by Lisa Klein. This is a retelling of Hamlet by William Shakespeare, but it's told entirely through the eyes of Ophelia. Just really, really unique and different, and kind of just nice to see Ophelia's thoughts and feelings during the course of Hamlet. And just some really interesting twists and turns in this, too. And you really just question the events that are happening in Hamlet. Paul is Undead, The British Zombie Invasion by Alan Goldshear. This is a horror comedy type of book, and it's basically a story about the Beatles, but the Beatles are all zombies. Even if you're not a Beatles fan or you don't know much of the history about the Beatles, this book was still wildly entertaining and just so amusing from start to finish. My favorite children's book ever, The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak. And this is a book about a little girl named Liesel in Germany during World War II and the trials and tribulations of that time period. And the most unique thing about this book is that it's told through the perspective of death. Just such a fascinating book with interesting characters and heart-wrenching stories. The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold, and this is the movie cover edition, and I actually saw the movie first before reading the book, and I really wanted to read the book at some point because I heard a lot of stuff about people kind of disliking the movie and that you should read the book for sure. But I actually ended up really liking the movie quite a bit too, but the book is really, really good, and basically it's about this girl who gets murdered and her tales of being in heaven and watching her family go through their grief. These three books are just guides on how to write novels and how you get published. The first one is The Everything Guide to Writing a Novel. The second is just a little tiny book. It's called A Student's Guide to Getting Published. And the third is Writing Fiction, A Guide to Narrative Craft. I've not read the third book down there. I've not really read that entire thing. It was kind of boring, but the Everything Guide is very, very good, and there's lots of things I highlighted in it that were very, very useful. Life of Pi by Jan Martel. I saw the movie for this and I was absolutely blown away by it, so I was like, I must read this book, and this is the movie cover edition, which I really adore. I love Richard Parker right there on the cover. Richard Parker is the tiger. I'm really, really excited to read this. I haven't yet, but it's on my to-be-read list, so hopefully I'll get to it in the near future. The Mists of Avalon by Marion Zimmer Bradley. I haven't read this yet either. I actually found it at a used bookstore. This is like a $30 copy, but I got it for like $6, I think, and it's just a beautiful cover. If you can see all that detail, it's just really, really gorgeous. And this is basically a retelling of the Arthurian legends, but told through the eyes of the women of those legends. Some people are probably going to be very angry with me, but I have yet to read the Hunger Games series. I actually got these for Christmas, but I haven't gotten around to them yet. I'm really dying to read them, though, and I'm planning on trying to get to them before the second movie comes out. But here I have The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Mockingjay, all by Suzanne Collins. I'm starting to realize that this bookshelf tour is turning into a to-be-read list, and these are 2 more books that I have yet to read, and that people are probably mad at me that I have not read them yet. And they are A Game of Thrones and A Clash of Kings by George R.R. Martin. I am in absolute love with the Game of Thrones television show, so I'm dying to read these books. I'm hoping to get to these in the near future as well. I'm kind of planning on not reading the entire series. I'm really enjoying watching the show and kind of being shocked and surprised. I think there's just a certain amount of more enjoyment from that and being surprised. And finally, on this bookshelf tour, I'm going to be going through all of the Cassandra Clare books that I have. And first up is the Infernal Devices trilogy with Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Prince, and Clockwork Princess. These are probably my most favorite covers ever. They are just absolutely gorgeous, and when you put them up against light, they just have this really great, vibrant glow to them. And if you want to read these books, I suggest you read this series before the Mortal Instruments series. And I really think the Infernal Devices is the best out of all of the different series that Cassandra Clare has. And then next, I have the Mortal Instruments trilogy with City of Bones, City of Ashes, and City of Glass. And these are the modern Shadowhunters. And I believe this whole series takes place in New York. Basically about this girl named Clary Frey who witnesses a murder at a nightclub, and she kind of gets wrapped up into this whole world of Shadowhunters and demons and warlocks and just various supernatural creatures. And yes, I am very excited to see the City of Bones movie. And then lastly, I have City of Fallen Angels. I have yet to read this. I'm kind of waiting on the last 2 books in this series before I get going, because I'd kind of like to read them all in one go.
So that concludes this bookshelf tour for today. I really hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the like button and share. Bye!